Disclaimer. Yes, my avatar is a dolphin. Don't ask. Shh. Also, if you can give me an A, that would be great. Anyway, this is a video about the Battle of Gettysburg. Okay, let's get into it. Alright, so Gettysburg was one of the most significant and bloodiest battles of the American Civil War. Our story begins on July 1st with a man named Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee had won a previous battle with the Army of Potomac in Chancellorsville, and was feeling very confident. He was also the general for the Confederate Army. He was trying to get supplies for his troops and gain more ground in Northern Virginia for the second time. Oh yeah, also, side note, a guy named Major General Joseph Hooker is moving his Union Army behind him, but unfortunately, he was relieved of his duty just 3 days before the horrific battle.
3 days!
However, Major General George Gordon Meade took his place. General Gordon kept his Union Army between Lee and Washington, D.C. Anyway, carry on with the video. Ooh, blacked out there for a minute. Anyway, so when Robert E. Lee found out that Meade was behind him in Pennsylvania, he focused his army around Gettysburg. The Union cavalry, under the leadership of General John Buford, arrived at Gettysburg and slowed down the Confederate army long enough for the Union's 1st and 11th Corps and their foot soldiers to arrive at the scene. While in the moment of the battle, many more Confederate reinforcements arrived, which were led by A.P. Hill and Richard Ewell. However, when the reinforcements arrived, the Confederate Army, well, around 30,000 troops of the Confederate Army, had moved 20,000 Yankees to Cemetery Hill and Corpse Hill. And for those who don't know, a Yankee is a person who was for the Union side of the American Civil War. Thanks, Google, you're the best! The next day, July 2nd, 1863, the Union Army moved all of their corps south of Gettysburg into a fishhook shape. The soldiers essentially aligned on the trees, hills, and ridges south of Gettysburg to form the shape of a fishhook, as seen on screen. The fishhook composed of around 90,000 soldiers. You see that little green box on screen? Now imagine every pixel on that screen is a soldier. That is roughly about how many soldiers were in the fishhook. The Confederates essentially wrapped around the Union Army. Lee launched a heavy attack on the left side of the Union's fishhook. The battles were around Devil's Den, Little Round Top, the wheat field,
Welcome to the rice field!
the peach orchard, and Cemetery Ridge, while the right side was staying their ground at Culp's Hill and East Cemetery Hill. The Confederates overall gained more ground, but the Union stood their ground from the Confederates' brutal attack. On July 3rd, the day that eventually became to be known as Pickett's Charge, fighting resumed on Culp's Hill, where most of the two armies were at the time. Over 15,000 Confederate infantry moved towards the middle of the hook-shaped Union Army on Cemetery Ridge. The Confederates' brigades were moving in on open ground, with the possibility of cannons being fired at them for the entire trip. The Confederates were under a heavy attack. Over 6,000 Confederate casualties occurred during the expedition, which led Robert E. Lee to retreat back to Virginia, spelling a temporary victory for the Union Army. Over 51,000 soldiers from either armies in the 3 days that the Battle of Gettysburg consisted of were either killed, wounded, or missing/captured. Around 7,000 troops from each army were killed. 4 months later, President Abe Lincoln held a ceremony to commemorate the fallen soldiers to honor their contribution to the Battle of Gettysburg.